Okay, so Moana 2 is a movie. There are characters. There are camera moves. There's an ocean. There's an ocean in Moana. There's even an adorable pig, an adorable chicken. It's sitting at 68% and 98% right now. What's wrong with it? I think what's wrong with Moana? So what are my honest objective criticisms? I think that the first movie is so incredible that I think that they had some pretty big I think it was a pretty big task doing Moana 2. I think it was a pretty big task because of how I think the first movie is so flawless. I think the first movie is so incredible. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. The music is has a lot of cultural ties. And it's really great. And the characters are really great. The stories, the journey, all that stuff, right? So I had pretty big shoes to fill, I feel. So I feel like that worked against it a little bit. But I don't think the movie was, I think if you like Moana, definitely go check it out. Definitely go check it out. But it's definitely not going to leave the same impression as the first one. Okay, the first one had, fabulous. There's one song in particular I really like in the second one, but for the most part, the music is definitely not as strong as the first one. And I think a big reason for that is because what made the music in the first one so special was that it had a lot of ties to like the culture once again. Um, and the music in this one wasn't as strong. But yeah, there's a lot of fun like little animal characters that I liked and stuff. I don't know, there's like things I really liked, and then there are things that I definitely did not like. I don't think it's an awful movie. It's just hard. I think the first one was so good. Yeah, Lin Manuel wasn't. So actually, I think it's because Lin Manuel Miranda was probably busy with Mufasa, because LMM is doing the Mufasa soundtrack. So I think that's probably what ended up happening. It was like busy schedule and all that stuff. That was my only concern. Yeah, that really is. That's all you should be worried about. Uh, yeah, I feel like I could write a really long like thing about the specific things, but I definitely feel like I don't know. It kind of makes me really sad that like I don't know. I feel like there's obviously like people like I think sequels just have a rough go. I think sequels have a rough go. Where most of the time, not saying it's always the case, but most of the time you sometimes get you really get the short end of the stick because there's such a precedent that was set with the first one. And it's like, how are we gonna like at least at the same level, like at least like close to the same level? I really felt like this movie fell short though. Don't let my opinion take away your joy though. Like if you like it, then great. That's why movies, television shows, and art in general, why it's so cool that it's subjective because you like it. That's great. If I don't like it, don't let me take away that joy from you. Please don't make it. No, I don't know. I don't know. I get like I always I don't know. I have to be like I can't be optimistic about sequels anymore. Like, it's so sad to me that I can't be excited about them. If I'm being completely honest, it was a thoroughly disappointing movie for me. I'm sorry. It was really disappointing. Okay, here's a sign of how, like, forgettable the music in the second movie is. People were leaving the theater of this movie, and it was a packed theater. People were leaving it, and they were singing songs from the first movie, not from this movie. Like, you know what I mean? Because in the second movie, they even sample some of the songs from the first movie. So people were like, oh, yeah. You remember how good those songs in the first movie were? Let's sing those. I forgot the ones in this movie that we just watched 5 seconds ago. Zootopia has to be good or else China will riot. Zoos behind the curtain. Yeah, I feel like, like for instance, okay, here, I'll give an example in terms of how our general group was when we went to see it. Okay, my cousin, she's sitting right next to me, and Don's to the left of me. I'm watching the movie. And there's definitely a few moments where like, oh, like this is very sentimental. But at the end of the movie, I was like, oh, how did you like it? My darling cousin, and will be unnamed in this very moment, and she was like, oh, I liked it. I was like, yeah. Me too. I think. And I turned to Don Don. I was like, what do you think of the movie? And his head was in his hand, like his his shin was like in his hand, and he was like, Lala. And I told him, I was like, I was so bored, honey. And he was like, oh, thank God. I didn't know if I had to pretend to like the movie for your sake. I was like, no, I was bored. I was like, there was like I said, there was a couple of jokes that had me laughing. There's like one song that I really, really loved. But also, I also think this impacted like our viewer experience. There was one speaker in our auditorium that was blown out, so some of the dialogue like would cut out because that speaker was blown out, which definitely affected the viewing experience. So, but that's not the movie's fault. That was just the auditorium. It was I wanted it to be good so badly. It was I feel like it was I don't know. It was As we say in the New York City vernacular, it was I'm not saying like every Disney movie is speaking from experience. There are so many that can never have happened, Chicken Little Strange Worlds, etc. Yeah, for sure. I think that Moana 2 how do I feel? Oh my God, we should if I did a Disney tier list, it'd be like a week long because I'd have so many thoughts about so many different movies. It's interesting because I think somebody mentioned that it felt like 3 pilots put together. I think that that's actually pretty accurate and then I heard that maybe they're planning on doing some sort of television show connected to this or something. I'm not sure. I heard about it. I didn't look into it myself, but I heard maybe. Yeah. Oh, it's made to be a series. So that makes a lot more sense because you know what's something that Don Don said? He was like, it felt like it was shot like a television show. Like the camera design, the camera shot, the shot design in the movie. That's so interesting you say that. So Don Don, he said that before even knowing that. And I don't think he still knows that, but he was saying like, this feels like a television show. He called that out immediately. He was like, why does this feel like a television show? So that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.